My abuse started from childhood. I would not leave out my childhood abuse, which was sexual abuse, some neglect, a lot of physical abuse. And until I I was very anxious to become an adult, thinking that that would be a good way to get out of the abuse, to get big, work for money, and be an adult. However, it was rough, had a lot of challenges along the way. I eventually sought my first employment. I joined the Guyana Defense Force, and I got married thereafter at the age of 18. And then it was into another life of abuse as a young adult. Yes, a lot of physical abuse, psychological, financial abuse as well. And in terms of surviving the abuse, I would admit that there were times when I had to fiercely defend myself, when I felt that I would have been killed. And I said, I cannot cower in the corner anymore. I have to stand up and do something. In those days, unfortunately, we didn't have Domestic Violence Act. As a matter of fact, I felt that animals had more rights than me as a woman in those days. However, I managed to get out of that abuse, and then I was from one abusive relationship to the other. A couple of them, well. The last one, that was the worst one of all. I was in that abusive relationship 11 going on 12 years. I stood very strong in my faith as a Christian to deal with it. My self-esteem was going to shreds. I could not have left the abusive environment because it was my home. It was in my home that this man was living and telling me that he is not going anywhere. Well, at that point in time, I didn't know what to do. I made reports to the police station, and he had his way with the police officers. One matter did reach the court. He paid a fine, and I used to pray a lot, praying that he would change, which I later learned that prayers really don't help. A person cannot change unless they want to change. I later learned that the person got to first admit that they have a problem and they want a change. Well, I didn't see any change coming about. As a matter of fact, it was getting worse. And when we talk about black and blue, I didn't only have physical black and blue marks. I had internal black and blue marks. I got sick when I went to see the doctor. After he doing his evaluation, he said I was suffering from severe stress. Well, I associated stress then to death or insanity. I felt that, well, this may be bordering insanity. So when I got home, I said that this can't work. This relationship has to end. And I started to work on having some kind of relief from this relationship. At that time, there was a woman. I did some detective work, and there was a woman who loved him, was madly in love with him, and I said, well, okay, instead of fighting to keep him, I'm going to push him into her arms and relieve myself. Today, as I look back to my experiences, I am not only a survivor, but I see myself as a victor. I've passed surviving, the survival stage. And I'm now able to work with women, and I feel that I'm equipped from my experience as an abused woman, so I could understand, I could empathize with women and what they're going through. And am I ashamed to talk about my abuse? No, I'm not ashamed, because I was the victim. I didn't do anything wrong. And I am putting all my efforts now and my energies in working with women and children and men who are experiencing abuse.
Kai, let me say thank you for telling your story. It's just going to be a difficult night. It's the third very personal story we've heard, and it's not going to be easy to do this for the next few hours. I just want to ask you some questions now that you've told that whole story and we've put that on the table. One of the things that struck me is that you said you went from one abusive relationship to another. Why did that happen? Because we've heard so many other stories. We didn't actually talk to people one-on-one like this live on television, but we've heard stories of people who go from one abusive relationship. Is there a particular reason why that tends to happen? And how do women who are in abusive relationships really find ways to tell what kinds of relationships they're going to get involved in? Is there a way? I don't know if you get where I'm going, but I'm just so troubled by that statement on your part about repetition of the same kind of experience.
Okay, for me, in my opinion, it shows where we all came from, our socialization. And I did come to some conclusion that because we were beaten as children, boys and girls, we often feel that this is the way we deal with issues. And I feel that the majority of men would have come from that social background where not only about the social background, but part of its culture, and they even use the Bible. They use certain verses in the Bible to say that this is the way to go.